Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the showdown between Nurgle and the Warriors of Chaos here on the Putrefying Carcass. It's going to be myself with old Sawbones, Dr. Festus. Haven't seen him in quite some time, but I think he's got a little bit of play. I think there's some builds you can use with Festus which can bring him back into the meta. We're going to be playing against Flying Taco here, who's going to be rocking Sartorial, the Ever Chicken. And as soon as I loaded into this game, we were actually talking in Discord, I was like, please don't have Final Transmutation. And the first thing I saw was this giant chicken with Final Transmutation and my entire army in like a blob, like a healing blob. I was like, okay, we're going to have to spread out a little bit. But he does have the Sartorial and a couple Dreadmaws as well. Now for my build here, we're going to be going with Chaos Warriors because, you know, with Marauder Bearmen being pretty popular and Marauders and Forsaken, Chaos Warriors of Nurgle are going to be able to go fisticuffs with all of those units and emerge victorious. So we have two of them, and we do also have BILIOUS THUNDERGUFF. Now, Giants are obviously niche, but in situations in which you're not playing against top-tier ranged factions, so for example, Warriors of Chaos, right? They have Marauder Horsemen, maybe a Hell Cannon. Having a Giant is like a big centerpiece that can defend Festus and also deal with heavy threats, I think is quite good. For example, if the Dreadmaws pop up out of the earth, BILIOUS is going to be able to really defeat them in combat. Now, I think a unit that's very often slept on for Nurgle are the Beasts of Nurgle. These guys are relatively cheap. They have almost 7,000 HP, 6.3. They passively heal. They have a nice little AoE debuff here in the Slime Trail, and I just think are so solid. So we do have three of them. They have good AP values and can honestly fight a lot of things that come their way. And if, for example, if they have like an Archaon or a big combat character, you could use your Beasts of Nurgle and BILIOUS to make sure that Festus doesn't get bullied. Plague Ogres in the back to deal with big threats in case, some big scaries come in there. Warriors of Chaos can present bigger threats. Dreadmaws are going to be very popular. I don't think double Dreadmaw is going to be ubiquitous, but I do think we're going to be seeing at least one Dreadmaw in most Warriors of Chaos builds. Hellstriders, Chaos Knights, you name it. Having the Plague Ogres there I think is kind of nice. And that's it for my army. Festus is going to be there with the Rancid Visitations as well as Fleshy Abundance. So for Flying Taco's build, Marauder Horseman of the Sunset, two Dreadmaws here, and Final Transmutation Caster, and the rest of the army is going to be pretty badass as well. He does, of course, have Marauders, but does also have Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual weapons. Now, these guys are pretty good at killing a lot of Nurgle infantry. They, of course, will be able to cut through all the Marauder equivalents, and I think they would be able to defeat my Nurgle Warriors just with the Sword and Board Shield. So yeah, pretty cool choice. I do like it, and we will see how they do. So the battle is on, and the objective is going to be grabbed by the much quicker army here in the Warriors of Chaos. So they do get objective Uno, Dos, and Trace. So all three objectives are going to be in their clutches, while Dr. Festus and company moving very ponderously through the woods. I did see the Trouser Snake, so I knew that the Dreadmaws were there in this moment. When they get close to you, you can see them. So those sneaky snakes are going to be there, and now they're going to be creeping down on this way. Moving up through the woods, Chaos Warriors and Beasts of Nurgle, I'm going to be partitioning my army into two parts. In this situation, if I keep my whole army together, not only will I struggle to play the objectives, but I'll also get obliterated by a big Final Transmutation. So, obviously, everybody that plays against Festus usually targets him. He's a pretty easy target, not easy to kill, but he's only got 30 armor, right? So he can be focused down by a number of targets. So my game plan here was not to be overly aggressive with Festus, just keep him alive and let my big monsters do the heavy lifting. So the high ground objective is going to be taken by the Beast of Nurgle squad. The Monstars are here. They're doing a little happy dance right there. And oh man, okay, we just got teleported up on top of this big Nurgle monstrosity here. And the Beasts are just now going to be heading to the low ground, right? It's just going to be Marauders here. So for now, the Chaos Warrior should be able to hold. And now the Dreadmaw is going to be emerging, but they are emerging into a mire of Nurgle waste. And BILIOUS THUNDERGUFF is going to be able to come in and send them back to the pits. And it looks like he probably did send them back. Nope, they pop back up here. And Sartorial going to be dropping a Final Transmutation, which really hurts. It does get Festus, and I'm trying to run out of range of it. But at the last second, I'm like, I'm too slow to do such maneuvers. So let's just eat this, pop on the healing elixirs, and then get ready to heal through it. Sartorial thinking about landing over here. And up in the high ground, we do have the Chaos Warriors of Nurgle fighting with the Beasts of Nurgle. And they should be able to fight against those Marauders. And the Dreadmaws have now gone back under. And my opponent leaning even further into trying to kill old Sawbones here. Going to be using the Hell Cannon in the back to shoot at Festus, but thankfully Festus is in his natural habitat and does have some trees. This was really funny though. He was hunting me all throughout the game here, and here you can see the Dreadmaws are going to be coming in. Both of them are going to be tunneling, and I just was straight up like, it was like a horror movie running from these underground tremors, and Festus does get his Plague Ogres to come back and defend him and make sure he doesn't get beaten down for free. Now my next call-in is going to be Festering Stooges. He was using things that I figured would be pretty good for the Festering Stooges. For example, the Dreadmaws here, but also they provide you a little bit of counter skirmishing. So the Unholy Hand Grenades going down there, melting a ton of HP off those Marauder Horsemen, which feel very, very good. And we are kind of losing on the low ground objective. Chaos Warriors being defeated by the dual weapons, but we do get the two Beasts of Nurgle, which are occupying the giant chicken. And yeah, they might not do the most damage or even connect much with the chicken, but they will occupy him, and they do have passive healing. And now to help deal with the Chaos Warriors, we do call him the giant man himself. BILIOUS THUNDERGUFF is here. A Guff, I think, is what it is. Let me check here. Yeah, Guff. And also the Plague Ogres. Plague Ogres do have good armor piercing, can definitely help against the Warriors, as well as Bile Trolls, which are an excellent unit. So up on the high ground, Dreadmaws are fighting, but the Festering Stooges are an absolute raid boss of a unit. Not that they'll be able to kill the Dreadmaw very effectively, but they're not going to die, and they will take a million years to take down. 59 melee defense, passive healing, what's not to love? Beast of Nurgle also fighting against the Dreadmaw, and the Beast of Nurgle, being a 700-800 gold monster, is actually able to hang and probably honestly trade very evenly with the Dreadmaw, which you can see is kind of losing in combat here. So not a bad trade for old Sawbones here. Now back on the low ground, I do go for a bit of an attack here. I get his chicken slightly surrounded, and I do use the Curse of the Slug to slow him down. And now the Beast of Nurgle as well as BILIOUS THUNDERGUFF are attacking, but classic Haggard Total War jank. Somehow Sartorial just teleports up in the sky while being fully surrounded. I have no idea how that works, but you know, sometimes weird shit happens. But while he's really invested over here, I do manage to get a little bit of split pushing going, so I call in 2 Nurglings and some Hounds, and we steal the side objective, so I was very, very happy about that. Meanwhile, Festus is, living his best life, just hiding out in the woods. He is healing cap now, though, so potentially in danger of getting karate chopped. So with the healing cap being in effect, I do turn on the Harbinger of Pestilence, which is going to start draining down these Marauder Horsemen. And back on the objective, the capture weight flipping back and forth here a little bit, but the Beast of Nurgle holding its own. Festering Stooges being cut up by the Chaos Warriors, so they are starting to take some heavy damage. And here Taco is going to be using a glorious Final Transmutation, which is going to be hitting a Beast, a Giant, as well as a Warrior. So Magic has really been the name of the game for him here, which makes sense when you have a giant Greater Demon of Tzeentch as your Lord. And on the other side, Chaos Knights. Chaos Knights an excellent choice here by Flying Taco. They're going to be able to massacre my Nurglings, will be good against almost my entire army except the monsters. Now, one Beast of Nurgle is shaken in third, sitting at a relatively low amount of HP, and it looks like he did call in Chaos Spawn, which aren't terrible here either. Really good damage against light targets, but we are going to get our Giant in, as well as the Plague Ogres. Plague Ogres going to be getting a nice surround there, and their anti-large bonus will be very good against the Dreadmaws, as well as the Chaos Spawn. On the high ground, Forsaken being called in, Festering Stooges and Spawn probably will eventually be able to be defeating these Chaos Warriors with the dual weapons, but we will follow that battle with great interest here. Chaos Hound's looking for opportunities to get back to the Hell Cannon, but he does have the Marauder Horseman in the way, and I do get caught up there a little bit, which is unfortunate. He does intercept me, so very well played there. And the Chaos Knights fighting against 2 Nurglings and the Bile Trolls. Bile Trolls are actually a very good tool against Chaos Knights, but due to the fact that he does have the ground here saturated with Forsaken, they will annihilate my Nurglings, which is going to allow the Chaos Knights to wheel back around, get another nice charge in there, and isolate the Nurglings a little bit, as well as probably break the Trolls. So very, very tough stuff. Very cool to see Chaos Knights, though. So, value 7.3 for the Warriors of Chaos at about 5,000 for myself, but I have a ton of healing on this roster, and I have been doing a lot of healing, so overall the game is probably even at this point, I would say. Festus is going to be battling the giant chicken in the woods, and I am going to be using the Rancid Visitations. So Rancid Visitations is a very nice DPS spell. It's basically like a couple Spirit Leeches bound together, so the chicken going to be getting the love of Nurgle, and I'm pretty sure Nurgle doesn't like Tzeentch, so, well, I don't know. Who are really, you guys know the Pantheon. Who doesn't like who? Moving on in, BILIOUS THUNDERGUFF is here, and the chicken is going to be forced back by the Harbinger of Pestilence as well as Rancid Visitations. And seeing that he does have a lot of SCs on the field between the chicken as well as the Dreadmaws, I call in the Angels of Decay, which are a great unit. And they would be able to fight Sartorial up in the sky if they need to, and I can also keep Festus underneath them to give the aura of healing if it does come down to that. Chaos Trolls are out here, and my Hound's going to be sneaking around, running away from the Chaos Knights. So now we have a really big play on our hands. I use the Curse of the Slug, slow down the Chaos Knights, who are going to be mucked in the mire here of this Nurgle swamp, and allows my Poison Hounds to sneak away, at which point they can get on the Hell Cannon, which is going to be a big play because that Hell Cannon still have a fair amount of ammunition and could change the course of the game here. So I have completely lost the fight over on Objective 1. It's gone very, very well for the forces of Chaos Undivided. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of bringing my Trolls back and around here and trying to gather them in the middle, where old Sawbones can get AoE healing and we can really consolidate our strength. Nurgle is kind of the king of block fights. They honestly are one of the only factions in the game that can actually beat the vampire counts in just a straight up pit blob fight. When you have like Kugath and those Mortis engines and that tons of healing and poison, it's still a hard fight, but they can do it. So the Trouser Snakes are hunting down Festus, and I knew this was going to be happening here because the entire time Taco was laughing on Mike, just chortling about how he was going to be getting Festus, so I had to keep scurrying away here, and the Dreadmaw does pop up once again, blocking Festus, and yeah, it was basically like a Tremor simulator. Looking at points, I'm a little bit ahead. I did have the double cap for a long time, so, well, triple cap that was. I did have the outside objective, and the Angels of Decay going to be coming in with your unholy hand grenades and starting to wear down the Dreadmaws. Dreadmaws sitting at about 400 value, so nothing crazy. Probably realistically around 600-700 because of the explosion damage that isn't shown here. And my Troll's going to be trying to protect old Festus. We drop another Rancid Visitations on the chicken, and the Bile Troll's going to be waddling to make sure that Festus doesn't just get circle beaten here. Yeah, Angels of Decay doing great work. The Dreadmaw's, steady still, but is going to be taken out of the picture relatively soon. And the Giant and the Beast of Nurgle just anchoring down this objective. And there's not really a whole lot Forsaken can do against such threats. Granted, the Beast of Nurgle has lowish armor, but his regeneration is going to be outscaling the DPS of a very beat-up infantry unit down here. And another final transmutation, which is going to be the last one. So the chicken does drop it here. It's not overcasted, but that is going to be hitting Festus. I do try and get away from this, and I also call in Rot Knight. So one of the Dreadmaws very, very low. I should have stayed the course, but I wanted to get away from the final transmutation. And Taco, in response, is also going to be calling out some Rot Knights. So Rot Knights here, but these are the Walmart Rot Knights. They are not truly dedicated to Nurgle. They're actually betraying him. So we'll see if we can, have our Rot Knights show him what's up. Plague Ogres still in the game. Plague Ogres, of course, with their anti-large bonus will be pretty good against the Rotties here. And the fight does continue raging on down here, which is going very well for me. One of the Dreadmaws is close to breaking, taking a lot of damage, but unfortunately for me is able to burrow and get away. Sartorial, the Ever-Chicken, is on the run. Angels of Decay hot on his tail with the Bile Trolls. He probably will be able to squeak away, considering he has 2,000 HP. And we do manage to have the double cap right now, but one of the biggest aspects of the game here is the fact that my Hounds were able to sneak around and shut down his Hell Cannon. That was huge. It still had about 20% ammunition, which could have been very big for maybe finishing off my Giant or breaking some of my infantry. So another pit fight here. The Festering Stooges being tanky, and now the true Rot Knights going to be engaging versus the Walmart Rot Knights, the undivided Rot Knights. And hopefully I'll be able to get the win. I do get the charge on him, and I do, of course, have the support of the Plague Ogres nearby. And as such, his Rot Knights and a lot of his units do start to break. And Old Sawbone's going to be coming over as well. And I believe we had the Harbinger of Pestilence on there, so it is draining a lot of those units. Here comes the Trouser Snakes, two of them going to be rotating over towards Objective 3. And on Objective 2 here, we have the two Beasts of Nurgle and the Giant, which are really tough to deal with. I would say, if you guys are aspiring Nurgle mains, all 3 or 4 of you guys out there, every couple months we get a new Nurgle main who comes in and does pretty well. Don't sleep on the Beasts of Nurgle. They're a very, very good unit. Yeah, I think highly underrated. All right, Marauders and Forsaken on their way in, and coming over here on the backside, we get the Bile Trolls and double Nurglings, and Old Festus going to be getting attacked by the Trouser Snakes as the Chaos Knights also getting broken back. Chaos Knights are pretty much hard countered by Rot Knights. Rot Knights have 100 armor, which mitigates a ton of the, Chaos Knights don't have good AP damage, so they're going to struggle against a 100 armor, and Rot Knights basically just hard counter them. I think there's one snake still lurking. I can't recall. Giant and Beast of Nurgle fighting it out on objective number 2. Forsaken going to be doing not much damage at all, and honestly, the Armored Chaos Troll is probably just going to get terror-ratted by the big scary Giant here, as BILIOUS THUNDERGUFF going to be sitting at about 1,300 value, which is pretty good. Festus coming on down here to support the heroic characters. We are bringing some Nurglings as well to play that point. And now we're going to be calling out Forsaken and Chaos Warriors to try and steal Objective 1. Get that triple cap, really, really close out the game here. But looking around the board, the Warriors of Chaos are looking pretty raggedy. Sartorial, I believe, is in the trash can. He got killed over here, also by Rancid Visitations from Festus. So he's going to be off the table as the Rot Knights continue fighting, charging into the Chaos Knights. The fight is looking very, very good for the forces of Nurgle. We have a points lead now and a value lead. The value lead wasn't there for a long time, but the grind has really been favoring us in the late game. And that's the thing that's so rewarding about playing Nurgle is it might be a struggle early on, but when that late game comes around and you're just getting that juicy healing and the compounding grindiness, it's just so fun to play, man. I love it. Festering Stooges and Rot Knights moving in, and my opponent's Rot Knight's getting a little bit of a surround on Festus. He's going to be sitting at 1,300 as some Marauder Horsemen do move in, but the Forsaken, Chaos Warriors, and more Forsaken will win that fight. We're winning this fight here, and at this point, it's basically GG. There's not really a whole lot that Chaos Undivided is going to be able to do except to maybe get a morale victory by taking down Festus. And you can see he's hunting him pretty hard. One Dreadmaw did get taken offline by a Rancid from Festus, and he is able to get Festus here, which is pretty funny. He does finally get the kill, and as soon as that happens, he taps out. But GG, well played. Really, really fun match. Cool to see that Nurgle has some chops against new powerful Chaos, right? But, I think on maps like that aren't like super open, Nurgle can definitely go fisticuffs with a lot of the meta factions. Not the more range-centric ones, like Wood Elves and those. I mean, obviously Nurgle has no chance against Ancient Demons, but they're not meta. But against Warriors of Chaos, I do think they have some teeth. Because Marauder Bearmen aren't terribly threatening against Nurgle. Dreadmaws, I think, are totally manageable for Nurgle. One thing that would have been kind of scary that I was worried about him bringing were the Champions of Slaanesh, because they, of course, are on the Warriors of Chaos roster. But that's kind of why I brought the Plague Ogres, the Giant, as well as the Beasts of Nurgle to try and keep them in check. So, GG, well played. Let's look at the value. Sawbones about 1,300, and we do see the Beasts, not a lot of value, but very tanky, right? And they keep that fight going. Bilious did good. Plague Ogres with 2,300 is excellent. And looking at the rest of the roster, 2,200 here, and the Festering Stooges at 1,500 as well. Obviously, the big chicken, the big AoE final transmutations were really the backbone of his army. And yeah, the Dreadmaws did fine. This one probably got about 1,200 value, which paid for itself, and this one got about 500 value there. All right, guys, GG, well played. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing this glorious Nurgle battle, and we will see you all on the other side, my friends.